Good morning. It's Thursday, December 28th, 2023. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to practice Tai Chi. We're going to cover the first part of Yang style Tai Chi. I'm going to talk about the repetitions in the form in the first part, and we're going to talk about the ending a little bit, cover that, and I'm going to cover parts 2 and 3 where the repetitions reappear. So one of the things that we have in Yang style Tai Chi, in traditional form, is a lot of repetition. There are several moves that show up repeatedly in different sets. One of them is brush knee. Another is hand strum the lute. So, 冇事啊不，手会琵琶. Alright, hand strum the lute, I'm going to talk about that as we do it. The musical instrument that is referenced in the name of that movement is a pipa. And it looks like this. It's jade. This is a miniature version of that musical instrument, a pipa. It's played upright like this. All right. So if it's a full size, you've got one hand up here holding it, another hand playing. I might be this other way. It depends on the player. I'm right-handed. If I'm going to strum something, I'm probably going to use my right hand to do it. That's how I would hold it. There's opportunities there for me to have to learn how to do it with my left hand, right? It might be better to go this way. I don't play this particular instrument. I play Tai Chi. And Shou Hui, Pipa, hands strum the lute. Shou, hands, hand. Hui. In this instance, the word hui, the verb, means to play or to strum. The ability to do something is what hui refers to. So, shou hui, pipa. The hands can play the lute, the pipa. Alright? That reference is something that I did not understand when I very first started. I had no idea what a pipa was. What is this? What are we talking about here? Alright? A lute. A lute in Western culture is very similar to a pipa. It's played upright in the same manner. So, hand strum the lute. Right? Hands come here. Hands, right? As we're playing in Tai Chi, we also have application. We have several things that we want to pay attention to. So, basic stretch. Feet are out shoulder width apart. Bend the knees. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers. Pull up through the crown of the head. Hand circle to the front. Back around both sides. Up along the center line. And reach out. Again, keep the shoulders down. Extend through the back. Bend the knees. And yeah, I'm moving a little quicker. It's alright. One more time. And roll up. Elbows drop down, wrists, fingertips, hands return to your sides. All right. At the beginning of, there's another repetition that we see frequently, but I'm going to talk about all of this. At the beginning of Yang style Tai Chi, right? We're here. Start with salute, right? Feet together. Sink, open, transfer the weight, up and down. Ward off. We're going to see this repeatedly. All sorts of this. Grasp the bird's tail. Ward off, pull down, press and push. We see this several times. Same for single whip and raise your hands. White crane spreads its wings. Brush knee. Step up. Hands strum the lute. Right? This one's here. This one's here. Hands strum the lute. It gives us the position, and it gives us a reference to use for how to pay attention to this particular movement. So what is correct, what is not? This one's at the middle Taijiquan, this one's more or less at the lower Taijiquan. I'm here. Fingertips align with the nose. Not up here, not down here. Give or take, right about here. This connection to the middle Taijiquan, right here, extends. And the distance between my hands should be roughly the distance between my wrist and my elbow. So I always use your own body as that reference. That is what I'm going for here. There's an elbow, here's a wrist. That elbow, wrist, twist. I go the other way too. Up and down. Right? Step up. Grab. From underneath. And twist. That concept. What have I got? Where's it going? I could, a couple of different options there, right? As I'm moving through the form, pull down, lift, side, twist, twist. That movement, along with brush knee, repeats multiple times in form. Part one repeats twice. We have brush knee, hand strum the lute. And then we have brush knee, and brush knee to the other side, brush knee again, and hand strum the lute. Right? That series sets up several things that are important, I've found to be really important in my own practice as well as in the form itself. That repetition lets us know a couple of things. First, foundation. What's important? Well, everything in the first part, especially the things that repeat, right? So, hand strum the lute, brush knee, brush knee, brush knee, hand strum the lute, brush knee, shift back, deflect downward, parry, and punch. Close the door. Crossing hands. That's the ending for part one. Okay? So, at the beginning, ward off, right? We start out the beginning, open. It sets up, ward off, pull down, turn, ward off, pull down, press, and push. Single whip. Raise the hands. White crane spreads its wings. Brush knee. Hand strum the loop. Brush knee again. And brush knee. Brush knee. Hand strum the loop. Brush knee. Now deflect downward. Parry. And punch. Shift back. Close the door. Turn. Crossing hands. Part two, go that way. I am going to cover a little bit in part two. At the ending here of part one, we have brush knee, deflect downward, and I'm not stepping deliberately. Parry. Deflect downward, right? That's pretty easy. As I step, this comes down, parry. Punch is coming this way, I'm going to drop my fist here as I step. Parry. And punch. It's obvious, right? Punch. From here, this hand comes under. To pull back, if you try and grab my wrist, I'm going to take it back. Right? Comes under. Shift back and open. Close the door. This is a two-part old Chinese style door. We have it a little bit with the idea of French doors, where you're going to close the door from both sides, not a door that opens only to one side. So the center of the door is open and there's two parts to close. That's the name of the move, close the door. It is. The effort is similar in many ways to push, but it also has that sense of coming together, where push tends to be straight, ward off, roll back, press, push. I'm not here, I'm here. Close the door is here. That subtle difference, it's easy to miss. That's why I talked about it. It's easy to miss. The differences in part 2 and part 3 are more difficult movements, more demanding movements. We have to pay more attention to certain things. We have to pay attention to the sequence of movements, right? So in the first part, and I'm going to do this again, I'm going to turn around and go this way. The sequence that we do, the series of movements that we do, as we start repeating them, as we pay attention to more movement. So long form, anywhere from I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes, give or take. Non-stop movement, you just keep going for 15, 20 minutes. What movement do I do next? How do we keep track of, how do we learn that sequence? Right? If you're following me, here we are. Feet together, stand straight. Pull up through the crown of the head. Breathe. Sink. Open. Raise the hands. And lower. Shift left. Open the right toes at 45. Bring the right hand up. Open. Step through. Ward off, pull down. Turn. Grab it here. Pull down. Ward off. Ward off to the outside. Pull down. Press. Open. Push. Turn. Single whip. Raise your hands. Turn. White crane spreads its wings. Brush knee. Step up, hands try the loop. Brush knee again. And brush knee again. And we're going to do it again. One more time. And hand strum the loop. Brush knee. Deflect downward. Parry. And punch. Shift back. Close the door. Turn. Crossing hands. From here. Brush knee. Ward off. Press and push. Come around. Press out. Fist under the elbow. Alright, that repetition, it comes on an angle. It's pretty much the same as what we did, with the exception of being on an angle. It's pretty much the same as what we did at the beginning of the first part. So, beginning of the second part, very similar to the first part. We have a turn, we're working on an angle, and we have something different that comes out of ward off, roll back, press, and push, that grasp the bird's tail series. Instead of single whip, we're now moving to fist under the elbow. That change is something that we want to pay attention to. That this is the same, but it's on an angle. Alright, and then we have another move that's different after that. Alright, that gives us several things that we don't get if we're not paying attention to what happens with the repetitions. In learning, we get started learning. Alright, I'm going to learn this set. Ward off, pull down, press, and push. I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm going to work on it. Alright, shift back, ward off, pull down, press, push. Ward off, pull down, press, push. Ward off, pull down, press, and push. Ward off, pull down, press, push. Practice it, right? Ward off, pull down, press, and push. coordinate the legs, coordinate the hands, coordinate the waist. Everything works together, right? As you do this, your muscles begin to learn what they're supposed to do in this series. It becomes comfortable. It becomes natural. That movement is well placed, centered, and the timing as you move through, or your weight changes, becomes smooth, each time you move. That muscle memory, stop, gets a little bit more. There's a little bit more available. And when we see this in form, I'm part 2, I'm here, ward off, press, right, pull down, press, push. That, it's just there. I don't have to really work at it that much. I've already done that work. So, brush knee, right? Push, turn. Starting that turn is similar to what I do in the first part. Push, turn around, single whip. Where my foot is, my hands come over here. Part 2, as I come around, I want to push this way. And this foot turns. To go in the other direction. As I pay attention to that change, this one's the same, this one's not, right? As I pay more attention to that change, I gain a greater flexibility in what I might do in the movement, right? So if I only learn ward off, press and push, right? Single whip. That's it, single whip. That's the only thing I know how to do from that. I might work on it for both sides, but right? That's not single whip. It's push to the side. I could do either one. Which way do I want to go? What might I do next? That option, what might I do next, is something that the form gives us. That's part of what's built into these forms. That, what might I do next? Well, I can do this, I can do this, I could, a couple other things I could probably do, but I'm going to stay with what we're doing in the form for right now. That sense of what might I do next? Well, it's written in the form. Here's a couple of options for you. that is something that I had to learn. This is what the form is teaching you, right? That it's not, I say, it's not only the teacher who's teaching, it's what's in the form that the form teaches us. Okay? So, my Yang style teacher, Huang Wei Lun, and I did learn a little bit from Yan Jindo, just a couple of seminars, that sense of how this person moves and what they're doing with the form, absolutely. I found the movements that Huang Wei Lun was teaching simple and complicated. The outward appearance is simple, not so easy to do, right? That depth of knowledge through movement and his own training was absolutely part of what I wanted to learn. That's why I studied. That's why I wanted to learn from this person. But I also learned through the form what the form teaches us, all by itself. And that repetition, the emphasis on particular movements, as well as the general way in which the form moves. So the way in which Yang style moves is not the same as the way in which Wudang style moves. It's not. It's not the same as what Chen style does. It's not the same as what Wu style does. It's Yang style, right? There are variations in Yang style. It's still Yang style, right? The emphasis on keeping the same level, sweeping movements, whether it's a smaller circle, whether it's a larger circle, it's an even sweeping movement, right? It's not a sharp movement, it's not a hard movement, it's sweeping. And that outward, relaxed, calm, that outward appearance, relaxed, calm, that's going to be true for all Tai Chi. There's no grit your teeth and no, we don't do that. We don't. Breathing matters. I haven't talked about breathing so much yet, but I'm going to get there. The outward form, right, is calm. That is true for all Tai Chi. For Yang style, again, this generally broad sweeping type of a movement is characteristic of Yang style. So if I'm seeing something that's got more of a twist to it, I would expect that's going to be Chen style, and I'm going to look for certain things to let me know, is that Chen style or is it something else? What is it? Wudang style has a lot of coiling type movement. So, and one of the fundamental exercises that we have is called coiling snake. That twist can come out. It goes further down, and I need to do a little bit. I'm going to do something here in just a second. Among the things that I want to pay attention to in all of this series is what is generally orthodox, what is considered, yeah, this is what Yang style is, and what's possible to do, what we can do, and how we develop those skills. So one of the things that I need to work on is my stepping method and my low work. So high work, take the leg up, right? One leg stance, right? And in Yang style, we're going to open here, bring it around, and then you get to put it down. That move in the second part of Yang style does, and we get to do the other leg, that does require quite a bit of balance and strength. Off balance. Alright, and as I bring this around, I'm going to get ready here to turn to the other side. Didn't make it, but that's the move. I need to work on that. I do. I need to work on that. Now, doing that turn on carpet is harder than doing it on a smooth surface, especially with sneakers, but it's possible. It's possible. That effort, what surface am I on, what effort do I need to make? When I make that effort, am I doing something else? In this case I did. I made the effort, and I turned with more strength than I needed, and it threw me off balance. What happened, right? That analysis is something we need to have, that capability to analyze what we're doing. All right, so that's what happened. That is part of, that's the high work. Low work, snake creeps down. I'm here. And this is Yang style, and it goes all the way down, and then it comes up. Going all the way down. I have an issue with my left leg. Been there. Still need to work on it. And that has caused me to not do some of the things that I need to do in order to get back down to where I would like to be. So, starting out, this is going to be quick, right? The first thing that I have to pay attention to in order to get back to what I want, which is be able to go all the way down, is to open the hips. Okay, that has to happen. My legs have to be ready to take the weight, and the hips have to be open enough that I can actually sink into the hip. There needs to be sustained strength through the torso and the upper part of the hip in order to hold the body as we go down. Right? So, stretching legs, right? If your sustaining leg, so I'm going to use my right leg to do this, if your sustaining leg is not open and well stretched, when you sink, it ain't going to get there. Alright? There has to be also, again, sufficient strength, holding strength, to do it. If the left leg, the extending leg in this case, isn't well stretched and well placed, it's not going to work either, right? Now, I mentioned that I have an issue with my left leg. I do. It's been a problem. It continues to be a problem. The question is never, how do I say this? I have a problem with my leg. That means I can't practice. No, it doesn't. It means you adapt your practice to whatever you've got. That is that's how you keep going. And that's how you get better. If you say that, you know, this really hurts, it does, and I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't do that exercise because this really hurts. Why does it hurt? I have an injury. Well, okay. What can you do about it? What can you do with it, right? Is there anything that will help? And yeah, if I put pressure on this particular muscle and ligament that extends from the inside of the hip into the knee, if I put pressure on it and extend it, it helps. It does, because it's really tight right here. That effort, what do I need to do, right? That same idea, and I'm going to stretch to the back for a second. That same effort to analyze what you're doing, pay attention to what the muscles have to do in order to do whatever it is, right? So if I want to stand on my right leg, in roughly this position, so my hip, here's my heels, here's my hip. Right? I'm sitting right now. I'm on my knees, and I'm not really sitting on my legs. I'm just above them. If I let my weight sink more, that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to be able to do in a standing position. Right here, sink more. Don't lean forward. You've got to pull back. Right? It's hard to do. All right. As we do that, I'm going to stay down here for a second because this is where I'm going anyway. As we do that, all right. Here's my heel. Here's my hip. My left leg is not straight. Let me see if I can get to it. Nope, not from there. Not happening. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to have to come from a different place to do that. As I work through, how do I get there? How do I get there? That wasn't going to happen. What I needed to be able to do is to bring this leg forward and turn it over. I don't have the strength in my right leg today to hold while I do that. Not going to happen. If I push to make it happen, I could hurt myself. I've done that. I have. Don't do that. What step by step will get you there? All right? So I'm here, and I want to be able to bring this leg forward and extend it out over here. And I'm leaning too much. I've got too much of my weight on my knee, and I can't really support the weight through my hip and my torso. It ain't working. Why? Part of it is body alignment, right? When I set my foot, I'm actually putting myself into a leaning position. Right? Set my foot back here. Now, I can almost bring my knee up, bring my leg around. I'm almost there. It's close. What if I set it back a little further? Yeah? Almost. That analysis and paying attention to what I need to do with this over here, right? What do I need to do with this? It extends, and I'm on my right knee. Set the leg out to the side, and go ahead and use your hands if you need to. Stay as upright as possible. Flex the foot, okay, so that pull the toes back to you, and sit on the heel of your right foot. Just sit. Leave that out there. Right? I have to use my hands at, this point right here. That's it for me. Right here. That's I can stick my butt out and it'll go. Straight down. The back foot, the right foot. Yeah. All right. Cramp in the back of my leg, right? It happens. This foot, whichever foot you're going to stand on. Look at this side. This side is, see, this is the difference between this. I don't have an injury on this side, right? So as I sit here, and it doesn't bother me on this leg to go down as much, right? So I'm leaning way too much. I should stay straight and go straight down so that I have, go this way, all right? This goes straight down. Right here. Except that I need to be here. This needs to be upright, way more upright than what I am now. All right? That strength is something that we have to develop. It's not magic. It comes from practice. Stretching, developing the flexibility to get there, and then being able to move smoothly through whatever that movement happens to be is what we're looking for. That level, what level of workmanship, what level of going for? Workmanship, going for. What level of workmanship do you have? Well, this is nice. Fresh knee. Smooth. It's comfortable. Regular. Looks nice, right? Brush knee, brush knee. Also, looks nice. Very comfortable. We're not really working too much on that. There could be some internal work that we're doing with that type of a movement. Very small movement, right? It's not a big movement. Brush knee. Brush knee. Right? That's a little bit different. As I said, still brush knee. Right? Set. I went a little bit to the side deliberately, right? This come through has multiple applications, and the idea that we're going to work lower, I want to go this way. I do. I do. It takes a little more effort to work lower. That difference, same movement, fundamentals are the same. I'm working higher, I'm working lower. What do I need to pay attention to? Staying level, keeping the outer movement smooth, nice and easy, not excessive, restrained. The outward appearance should be comfortable and have that sense of smooth, continuous, connected, round, open, as part of the quality of movement. It's not closed, it's open. That difference is characteristic of Yang style. Wu style tends to be much more closed. It matters in the way the movements are done. It matters to the fundamentals for the form that we're practicing. I beat up on this a lot this morning. I hope that it's useful. This review is intended to cover all sorts of things that I haven't worked with, I haven't talked about yet. This idea of repetition, using the form as a teaching tool, because that's what it is, to help understand how this particular system, this particular style works. It's all there. as we pay attention to what is there, we pay attention to how we move, we pay attention to the extent of movement that we're doing, and we develop additional skills as we progress through the form so that we can do more. Whether or not we choose to do anything, stand here, do nothing, right? Put my hands, stand here, do nothing. Whether or not we choose to do anything in the form, paying attention to how it works, how we can use it, and where the changes appear, so that as we develop that greater understanding, we can begin to work with our own choreography, right? Here's the foundation. The foundation is the traditional form. This is what's in the traditional form. I've given this 3 times this morning, right? This yang style, foundation. Here's the first part. As we develop that foundation, we can rearrange things a little bit. We know how to get from one movement to another. Form gives us that. Once we learn it, well, we can use it. So, set up your own choreography. Maybe I'm going to do the opening movement here, and I'm going to go ahead and use the series. Come around here, and instead of, right, as I come here, raise the hands, well, I can step through and do brush knee over here. I could shift back, deflect downward parry and punch. I could. Raise the hands. This one pulls down. This one. Right? I could. What's the direction of movement? How did I change from this one to that one? Is this other move on the same path? Right? If I'm here, raise the hands. It's really hard to go this way. Pretty easy to go this way. I can go this way. That's not so much. I could. But it's not on the same path. Here. White crane spreads its wings. Here. Deflect downward parry and punch. Here. Brush knee. I can get there easily on the path, the movement path that I'm already on. I don't have to do something else. Here, drop the elbow, turn the foot, come around. And I've got a fist here. Right? My intent would be come around and punch. Drop the elbow, come around and punch. That reflex, that's my reflex for that move, is what we want to develop. What works? What's going to work? What follows from this movement, that movement? The form gives us that. As we, and I'm saying this again because it's really important, as we develop each segment, the movements become more complicated, and we find that repetition giving us the next move. the work with the breath, the internal work, what am I doing with my internal energy, Jing? What am I doing with my internal breath, the Qi? What am I doing within the form itself that is part of that internal practice? What am I doing in the form that is part of the martial practice? What's the application? What is going on in this movement that could be, potentially, it could be an application? I could do something with this. We don't think about this opponent, this move, 1, 2, 3. We don't do that. The goal is to pay attention to how the movement works. So, yeah, there is an element of what happens, but it's not fixed. It's not in the sense that this one movement can only be used for this one thing. No. I have multiple opportunities here with brush knee. What might I do? I can do several things. That sense of potential is much more important has been much more important in my own personal development than any focus on this one thing, this one thing, this one thing, this one thing. Because there is a difference in the idea of application. Brush knee. This has push and press as application. It's not pulled. This is got ward off and pull down. Huh? Nu. Push, press. Those are the applications. That difference is something that I learned, I developed, I worked with, and it's part of what I found to be very attractive in these particular forms and everything that I've learned. That idea that it's not one, this, that. It's the principle behind that we want to be able to use in the movement. That's what matters more than, well, what am I going to do with this? You know, push or press, right? I've got an array of things through the center of the body that I might target. I've got an array of things that could happen in the movement. I want all of them. I don't want just that one. I want all of them. So, press and push. I'm going to stop here for today. I wanted to introduce this idea of application. I'm going to cover it again a bit more as I go forward. The series that I'm doing is moving quickly. This is moving quickly. This is intended to be a review. It's not intended to be the first introduction that I give to Yang style Tai Chi. So my expectation is that the person who might be watching this has already looked at some of what I've taught, or is already familiar with the general idea, the general concepts, and is looking more to understand particulars for how we practice. I've got a whole series that I've recorded on Yang style Tai Chi, step by step. I'm going to bring that together with this series. And again, as I go forward, as there needs to be something that gets filled in, I'm going to work on that. We're going to fill it all in. This may take a little while. I expect at least several weeks, if not several months. So we're going to be here for a little while. There's a lot to cover, and I do want to make sure that I catch as much of it as I can. I welcome your questions. Feel free to email me, put comments in. I will do my very best to answer them. Thank you for being here today. I will be back tomorrow with Wudang Qigong. I skipped class yesterday. Xingyi, I'll talk about that in the makeup class. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Bye.